Welcome back to Breakfast Television. So much wildlife being born in the Calgary area right now. Jenna McFarland from the Calgary Wildlife Rehabilitation Society is here now with what to do if you come across a fawn or a baby bird. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So this is happening. People are coming across little fawns and baby birds.
Yeah, so we're right in the first week of fawns being born. So people are seeing them in the grass, really small, about the size of a cat.
No kidding. They're the size of a cat?
Yeah, really tiny. And most people are surprised that they're that small.
I'm surprised that they're that small.
Yeah, absolutely.
So these are the little fawns that have the speckled coats,
so
right?
we have two different species of deer that have their babies in the city, the mule deer and the white-tailed deer, and they're both very speckly, and they're very small. You could just pick one up and carry it under your arm.
Goodness. And so is that what people are doing, and why you're saying maybe don't do that?
Yeah, absolutely. People are seeing them in the grass, hanging out by themselves, which is completely normal. Mom leaves them for hours at a time to go and feed. So if you do see a fawn just sitting in the long grass, not moving much, not doing anything, that's perfect. That's exactly what we want to see.
Okay. So how are people coming across these? Are they out walking their dogs and then it's the dog that finds them, or what happens?
Most of the time that is the case, especially at our big off-leash dog parks and our beautiful green spaces in Calgary. People with their dogs are coming across these fawns in the grass. Sometimes that results in a dog attack, in which case we do want to see those fawns at the hospital. But a lot of the time people are just confused and they just want to help, and they pick those up and bring them into care when they don't really need it.
Right. So what happens in that case once they come to you? Can the fawns go back, or do they have to be raised by you now?
We try to get them back if we know the exact area and we can find that mom who's looking for a fawn, usually between 6 and 8 hours from the time it was taken. We can try and return them, but otherwise they will be raised in care with us.
Okay. All right. So we're moving on from fawns now to baby birds. What are we seeing out there now?
We are right in the thick of nestling and fledgling bird season. So we're getting a lot of nests taken out of dryer vents. All sorts of, I know, look at that little guy.
Look at this.
All sorts of little fledgling birds and nestling birds being brought into the clinic because they're found on the ground looking helpless.
Okay, so now there's two kinds of these birds. So can you walk us through the two types?
Of course. So we have nestling birds, and those are the featherless, helpless, little pink gummy bear looking birds that are meant to be in the nest. A lot of the time during tree trimming events or house reno events, we're getting those whole nests coming out. We'll absolutely take those babies and care for them at the hospital. But then we have fledglings, and those are the birds that are just learning how to fly, and they're spending a lot of time on the ground, and they need to stay where they are in order to learn to be a bird.
Right. Now, if they're on the ground, though, does that make them a bit vulnerable?
It makes them hugely vulnerable, and unfortunately nature is not always kind, and living in city is rough for all of us a lot of the time. So, you know, it's a good time to keep an eye on your dog, keep your cats indoors, and then just kind of look out for these fledgling birds that are learning how to fly. You'll see their parents nearby still feeding them. It's kind of a nice time to share with your family what child development looks like in the natural world.
Right. So how long are they in that stage for?
Well, the big ones that we have in the city, magpies, crows, robins, and sparrows, we're looking at between 5 and 14 days on the ground.
Oh, you're
So that's
kidding.
a pretty long time for them to be flopping around looking like they're injured, and most of the time they're not. But if you're concerned, you can always give us a call and we can talk you through the scenario.
Why don't you give out that number one more time
for us? Absolutely. The Calgary Wildlife Hotline is 403-239-2488.
Terrific. Fantastic information, as always, Jenna.
Thanks.
Just leave them there most of the time.
Leave them be. They know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing. Jenna, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
We're going to go for a break.